Hello dear learners, welcome you in the lecture 5 which is on management of translation exposure of week 4 foreign exchange exposure and risk. In today's lecture we will go to cover following things: introduction of translation exposure, current non-current method, monetary non-monetary method, temporal method, and then hedging of translation exposure through above these methods. So, just a recap of what we discussed in translation exposure. So, it's another name of book exposure or accounting exposure. So, it happens mostly in those cases where there is a large multinational company which is operating and it is having subsidiaries scattered throughout the world, and all the subsidiaries they are required to report the figures of balance sheet and income statement to the parent company of multinational company for the purpose of preparation of consolidated annual report of the parent company. So, in that case, due to foreign exchange rate fluctuations or due to difference in the accounting period, the consolidation happens to be little tricky and difficult, and this may result in book losses or book profit for the multinational firm, and that may result in paying higher taxes or lower taxes. So, all these are uncertainties which may exist in the future. So, that is why this kind of exposure is called as translation exposure. So, translation exposure, as I said, it is also called as accounting exposure. It refers to the effect then an unanticipated change in exchange rates will have on the consolidated financial reports of a MNC. Now, what is multinational company? A multinational company is a company which is having a strategic presence in two distinct regions of the world. When exchange rates change, the value of foreign subsidiaries, assets and liabilities denominated in a foreign currency change when they are viewed from the perspective of parent company. For example, let us suppose there is a US firm which is owning a British asset. Now, the valuation of the British asset will also be reflected in the balance sheet of the parent company. If there is depreciation in the pound or appreciation in the pound, and when that is convertible into US dollar, then the value of that asset will also fluctuate in the reports of parent company. So, that kind of difference in the valuations result in translation exposure. It affects reported earnings and balance sheet values, not cash flows directly, as I said. Translation exposure is currency specific, not entity specific. It arises only in multinational firms that have foreign operations. Why translation is needed? When a multinational company consolidates its foreign subsidiaries, it must translate assets and liabilities in the foreign currency to parent's currency, revenues and expenses to parent's currency. For example, suppose an Indian company, Tata Limited, owns a subsidiary in the UK. The UK subsidiary prepares its financial statements in Great British Pound. Tata Limited must translate these into INR for consolidation purpose. So, if rupee pound changes from 100 to 110, that is Indian currency depreciates against pound, the translated value of asset, liabilities or income will change even if the underlying foreign operations have not. So, as I said, if the pound prices of the assets owned by Tata, they are not changing, but due to appreciation or depreciation of Indian currency, the prices will show a change in the books of account of the parent company here in India. In this case, the Indian currency is depreciating, so there will be more valuation in terms of Indian currency of these assets, although in pound terms they will show the same value as they were shown in the previous year. But here in Indian case, their value will go up because this year the depreciation has taken place in comparison to last year in Indian currency. So, the valuation of the same asset in terms of Indian currency will go up, and hence the discrepancies will come. Now, these are certain methods of translation that is at what exchange rate, or the assets or expenses or liabilities or losses, how in what manner they are going to be translated from the subsidiary's financial statement to the parent company's financial statement. So, first method is current non-current, which is based on maturity. So, what kind of exchange rate is used? Current rate for current items and historical for non-current item. So, here only current items they cause translation gain or loss. For instance, current rate for current item means the items of current assets, they are converted at current exchange rate, that is the date on which the value the figures are converted into the parent company's balance sheet. So, the exchange rate which is prevailing on that day, that rate is used, and for all non-current assets the historical rates are used. For example, let us say any asset is owned by Tata Sons in British market. So, the asset which is being acquired by the British subsidiary of Tata Sons in British market, that rate will be used on that day on which that asset was acquired by the British subsidiary of Tata Sons in British market. So, that historical exchange rate will use, and because of this only current items they cause translation gain or losses, because there is historical rates are constant, they are not going to change. The only change will take place because of the current exchange rate, and current exchange rates are applied for converting the figures of current items. The other method is monetary and non-monetary, which is based on nature, that is current rate for monetary and historical rate for non-monetary. Now, monetary items, those assets which can be converted into cash, primarily again the same thing, the current assets and non-current assets. So, monetary items cause translation gain and losses. Temporal method, it is based on valuation, current rate for items carried at current value, historical rate for others. So, revaluation items cause translation gains and losses. So, these are certain methods through which the items of balance sheet and income statement, they are translated of the subsidiary to the balance sheet income statement of the parent company. Let us see current and non-current method in detail. So, it was developed under US GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, pre FASB 8. Now, what is this FASB? It is Financial Accounting Standards Board, which is an independent private sector, not for profit organization based in US. Now, underlying principle of this method is that asset and liabilities should be translated based on their maturity. The classification based depends on whether asset or liabilities are current, due within a year, or non-current. The rules are, these are items: current assets and liabilities, non-current like translation rate, current that is closing exchange rate, non-current assets and liabilities, historical exchange rate, income statement items, average exchange rate during the year, and equities, historical exchange rate. So, these are different items and these are the exchange rates, the indicators of exchange rate at which they are translated in the figures of parent company. For example, in the subsidiary in UK, these are certain items of balance sheet, and let us see how they are translated in what manner. So, cash is showing £10,000, machinery is showing 40,000, accounts payable 5,000, long term debt as like this. Similarly, for current items, it is 110 rupees shown, the exchange rate, so it is convertible at current rate. Machinery is a fixed item, so it is converted at historical rate, that is 100, and its value is shown like this. Accounts payable, it is a current item, so it is shown at the current exchange rate, convertible at the current exchange rate. And long term debt, it is a non-current item, so it is converted at historical rate. So, gain losses arises only from current items, since non-current items use historical rates. Now, there are certain limitations of this method. It can distort financial ratios, example current ratios, because what happens that current rates are used and current rates are volatile. So, this may distort the values of current ratios, liquidity ratios, for other ratios like acid test ratio. So, because of the volatility of that dynamism of the exchange rate, those ratios can be changed. It ignores the fact that not all current items are equally sensitive to currency changes. So, there are certain items of current assets which are not sensitive to the exchange rate changes. So, but still for them the current exchange rate is used for converting their value into the parent company currency. Monetary non-monetary method. So, it is nature based. It depends on whether an item represents fixed monetary value. The underlying philosophy of the monetary non-monetary method is that monetary accounts have a similarity because their value represents a sum of money whose currency equivalent after translation changes each time the exchange rate changes. For instance, you see the rules: monetary items like fixed in currency units, cash, receivables, payables, debt, they are converted at current rate. Non-monetary items, the physical or valued at cost, like inventory, fixed assets, equity, they are converted into historical rate. So, here you see there is a basic difference in the first two methods, that is current non-current and monetary non-monetary method. Revenues and expenses, they are associated with monetary items. So, current rate is used, and those which are associated with non-monetary items, their nature is non-monetary. So, they are at historical rate. So, only monetary items generate translation gains and losses, because non-monetary items, for that historical rates are going to be used. So, it means that they will not lead any currency any amount of book losses or book profit. It is only the monetary items. So, monetary and non-monetary, it is the nature of the item which is there in the balance sheet or income statement. The limitation is it ignores the economic substance of some items, like inventory may have current value exposure, because we know that some portion of inventory may be a blocked fund, but inventories are also part of current asset and they are convertible into cash within less period of time in comparison to other assets, but it ignores because inventory nature is a non-monetary nature. So, that is why it is converted at historical rate. For example, you see cash, it is a monetary item. So, it is used if 110 rupees the current exchange rate, it is used to convert into INR. Inventory is a non-monetary item, its nature is, so historical exchange rate, that is the rate during which these inventories have been acquired. So, this one. Accounts payable, it is monetary, so current exchange rate is used. Fixed assets which are non-monetary, so they are again the historical rate is used. So, net monetary liability exposure in pound terms is 10,000 minus 8,000, it is 2,000 pound revalued at new rate. So, only exposure is limited to the extent of this one 10,000 and 8,000, which are monetary in nature. So, the total exposure for the parent company, that is Tata, is only 2,000 pounds in place of considering all other non-monetary assets, because since they are converted at historical cost, historical exchange rate, so they will not cause any amount of gain or losses. Now, see temporal method. This is a refined version of monetary non-monetary approach. It focuses on basis of valuation, historical cost or current value. So, items carried at current value, which are marketable securities, revalued inventory at current rate. Items carried at historical cost, that is fixed assets, inventories at cost, historical rate. Monetary items, current rate. Depreciation, cost of goods sold, etc., historical rate. Equity, historical rate. So, this method is a refined version of monetary non-monetary method. Let us see with help of an example. Now, the subsidiary has cash of 5,000 pound, inventory at cost is 10,000 pound, equipment that is at historical cost acquired at 25,000 pound, accounts payable is 7,000. So, if rupee pound changes from 100 to 110, so this is the current rate and this is the historical rate, 100 is the historical rate. Now, cash, it is converted at current, that is 110. Inventory historical at cost, so 100, that is 100 rupees per pound. Equipment historical, so 100 rupees. Accounts payable current item, so 110. So, you see in case of inventory and equipment, it will not cause any exposure because historical exchange rate is used, but the gain or losses will be there in terms of cash and accounts payable, where you see that gains and losses are coming because the current exchange rate is used. Now, you see in case of both current, the items which are convertible into the balance sheet of or income statement of parent company at current exchange rate. In case of the cash which is convertible at current exchange rate, so it will show a gain because more Indian currency, because Indian currency has depreciated. So, per dollar more Indian currency will be converted. But as far as accounts payable is concerned, it will be showing higher amount because of the depreciation of Indian rupee against US dollar. So, this will lead to loss. Now, the net exposure will be monetary assets minus monetary liabilities. So, these two items, that is inventory and equipment, they are not causing any exposure, only exposure is due to cash and accounts payable. So, exposure due to cash is 5,50,000 rupees convertible into Indian currency, and exposure due to the accounts payable is 7,70,000. So, which is 2,20,000, which shows the loss. Loss is because Indian currency has depreciated, and accounts payable it will be shown as a higher amount. So, that is a loss. So, another example, this is of Nestle Group. Let us suppose it reports in Swiss franc. So, but it is having a subsidiaries in 80 plus countries. Now, translation differences due to euro and dollar fluctuations are recorded in foreign currency translation reserve account FCTR in equity. Under IFRS, that is International Financial Reporting System, International Accounting Standards 21, the current rate, that is closing rate method, is used for most subsidiaries where local currency is the functional currency. For hyperinflationary economies, temporal method adjustments apply. Now, hedging of translation exposure. These are certain techniques: balance sheet hedge, derivative set. So, what do we mean by balance sheet hedge? It eliminates the mismatch between the foreign currency assets and liabilities. For example, say if a firm has this much of amount exposed assets than liabilities, it can create an equal amount of euro denominated liabilities or reduce euro assets, that is this one. The result is no translation exposure in euros, affect asset and liability is equal, so net effect is 0. The limitation of this method is it creates new euro liabilities that may generate transaction exposure if those borrowings are not backed by euro cash flows. Another method is derivatives hedge, use of forward contracts, future options to hedge expected translation losses. For example, a euro depreciation from 1.1 euro to 1.17 per dollar may lead to an equity loss of $1,10,000 approximately. However, translation hedging versus derivatives involves speculation as it depends on future exchange rate movements. So, this is a little risky for the firm. These are certain suggested readings which you can go through for your enhanced learning. Thank you.